Okay, here comes the recording.
Okay, hello Janice and Zita. Welcome to OTF Connects, Teaching Financial Literacy to Adults. I am Sirius Gerhan, Facilitator and Coordinator of the OTF Professional Development Project. I'm very happy to welcome Jeff Balch, who will be facilitating tonight's session. Jeff has generously given of his time to facilitate quite a number of financial literacy workshops for OTF Connects over the last 2 years, and sharing so many of the very useful FCAC resources with our participants. So Jeff, welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Syria, and through you kind folks that we get this chance. And please, you take back to the teachers. There's wonderful opportunities on the OTF Connects website, and at the end there'll be a little brief survey, and just a reminder that for your those you work with, it is free. And a lot of information is found, not just for the financial literacy, but on just about every topic in teaching. Where are we? Right here. Let me go. Oh, there we go. So today we're going to talk a little bit about teaching financial literacy, and the particular focus is adults. But before we kick off, if either in jumping on with the talk or with in the chat window, if you two could just let us know what you are hoping to get from this session, because I will redo it, given there's only 2 of you. So if you don't mind putting in the chat window or jumping in the talk, just indeed what you are hoping to get out of this. Personal life management course, awesome. Okay, so Zita, most of what you were going to be doing, there is one more but the two that the focus of this is the adults. Both of these are just going to be excellent for your particular students, and I'm going to go a little bit slower. Janice, sorry, ditto. Oh, awesome. So for both of you, part of the cell I've been doing with our particular board, and by the way, I'm a classroom teacher. I've been doing this particular thing for a number of years. I just happened to act on the Financial Consumer Agency's behalf just to do presentations to teachers. So I'm actually a classroom teacher though with the Thames Valley District School Board. And it really doesn't matter if it's grade 11 or 12, the material I'm going to show you. The first one is probably better suited for grade 11. The second one was intended for adults, or is something else called the city. I didn't include it this time because the focus being really senior students, grade 12 students, and others. But the sheet I gave you in the doc sheet actually has a link to this program called the City, which was actually developed for high school students. I like the two I'm going to show you far better than the City, particularly if you do not have web access to your class all the time. So these two are relatively new, and I've got to expand my chat window here because I can't see any of these comments. And thank you, Louise, for putting that up. And again, I put a tiny. It is an awesome resource, and we, for those of you who, I don't see you're saying your colleagues have used it. Let me tell you, actually, it's being retooled for next year. So one of the reasons I didn't want to really do it is because it's going to be changed. Hopefully, we're looking at the summer, adding some new things to it, and looking at adapting what people have commented. So we're going to look at the 2 other companion pieces that we talk about for financial literacy. And just to give us a little heads up on this, I hate when it does that. This is from the National Task Force, and for those of us remember what happened in 2009, this was the crisis in the American. And yes, there will be a webinar when it is retooled, I hope, assuming Syria and Louise see kind enough to do that. But really what I want to go through in the first part is kind of the rationale why. And a lot of times this is a sales job to administration and administration in the boards. Realistically, the National Task Force said Canadians need to understand how to make informed decisions. And the informed decisions, and that's the big thing. When we talk about literacy, what we're talking about is the fact, can you take something that's out there and make an educated decision and know what you're doing is in fact right. I don't know if you can see this slide very well. This is a slide from the London Free Press a couple of days ago. And there's been a lot in the papers about financial literacy. This is called boomeranging back, and talking about the adult children who are in fact where they're taking a lot of the funds from adults and putting adults at serious risk. And it's very hard to see, but he's got 43% of mom and dads are actually paying rent for their adult children. So we're seeing a lot that, one of the things I hear from people is that, oh, well, we all learned, and we all learned perhaps the hard way. The difference is, though, we haven't seen it where the entitlement age is upon our certainly our adult children, and we're not talking with our children about this. And in fact, if anything, the expectation for most of the adults, and I'm speaking, I have 2 adult children, they've learned that dad and mom aren't going to bend on this, but for the adults, a lot of the adult children is, what's their money is theirs, and any things that they need extra, well, mom or dad will pay for it. And this is not sustainable, we know that. This is, to me, again, and I think we're making the slideshow available. Is that correct, Louise, at the end?
If you're willing, absolutely, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll make it available. Yeah. This is the latest figures that we've got right now. The average debt load for secondary is approximately $26,000. This is staggering compared to 20 years ago when it was around 5. The latest BMO survey suggests that the #1 stress for students is not getting a job, believe it or not, and then it's paying for the debt. Now, I know this one personally. With our particular family, both my daughters are getting married, and their husbands-to-be, one of them wasn't worried about getting a job. He's worried about how he's going to pay back his debt. So we're having students say, yes, you can go to university, and yes, we're going to make the money for you, but then the realization hits them, how do I pay it back? Because often they haven't made the right decisions along the way. Why financial literacy in schools? I'm going to put a website up here in a second, links with this. The other reason is, there we go, is that students do not understand the consequences of their decisions. We have tended to say things are okay, you can miss things. The problem is that when they come to the real life and they miss those bills or two, they really don't understand it has a direct impact. And I've asked my daughter if I can relate this story, and she said I can. So she went to, my oldest daughter is working full time, and she went to get her first car, all excited. And in the dealership, the dealer said to her, I see you were late for a couple of your phone payments, for your cell phone payments. And she was quite shocked. He said, had you not had a very stable contracted job, we could not extend you the rate we're going to give you. So they don't understand the impact of credit on a credit score. In fact, they don't even understand credit score, and they don't understand credit report. And most people don't. And there's a lot of good information. And again, we'll take you to the website to show you some stuff. But you can actually, what most Canadians don't understand is you can request your credit report once a year. I put the link there for you. And they will send you your credit report. Your credit report just shows you what's happened in your credit history. Your credit score is a numerical score. That's the one you often see on TV. You do have to subscribe for that. So, but your credit score should be checked to make sure that things you paid are in fact paid. Things that credit cards you canceled are in fact canceled and not left open. And all those things have, those things I just talked about prior have an impact. What was really surprising is I happened to talk to some people at Trans-Canada Union. We were just chatting, and the guy says, what people don't understand, if you have library fines, and the library, they're overdue and they sent you notices and they send them to a collection agency, that actually goes on your credit score. So not bringing back your library books on time to the point where they're 1 or 2 years overdue and they sit on a notice, it's going to affect your score. You may be thinking for a couple of $20, $30 worth of book, but it has an impact because it goes to show the various credit card companies what is your ability to handle debt. And students don't understand that at all. Yeah, and thank you, Elise, for that. That was a total surprise for me on library fines, and most people aren't aware of that. So students are not understanding that. This is a big thing. And a lot of you have the skills to do this. You just kind of don't know that. This is an article that was in the Toronto Star. Teens think they're going to earn $90,000 by age 30. Number of teens and my daughter's friends, and they're both in their mid-20s. And we talk to them on a regular basis. And they're quite disheartened that they're only making $25,000, $35,000, $40,000. I'm thinking, wow, you're making a lot of money. They really honestly believe that 90 is what they should be starting at. They believe that it's really have these unrealistic expectations that once they get out of university or college, that it's zoomed to the top and they don't have to work hard and do those other jobs and then eventually reap the benefits. So that's that instantaneous society that we kind of live in. It's that sense of entitlement, and they're not getting it. This particular slide that I put at is because this is an interesting thing. Students, in a lot of cases, and we can talk about OSAP just as easy as we can talk about anything else. Entitlement, I think, is not just students, but with a lot of people lately. We asked a group of students, why do you use payday loan places? Why do you use them when you have a bank account? And quite frankly, they said just because it's easier. Now, I want to show you the next slide because it's rather interesting, and I don't know if you can see it too well. Why do we need to teach this? Because we have a crisis in this country. 2 million Canadians using payday loan to borrow $2 billion annually. This is from the London Free Press. But the bottom part I actually took off of one of the payday loan places. And I don't know if you can see it too well. But not only when you borrow money from them, it's $21 per $100 borrowed. That's an annual rate of 521%. That's right on their website. They make no bones about it. Now, I don't know any place. I mean, wouldn't you like to get that just on your returns? The other thing that most people aren't aware of is that when they go into these payday loan places, and if you don't have the money to pay it back, and they say, sure, it's okay, we'll just charge you interest, but they charge 60%, 60%. That's huge. When you do the mathematics behind this, it's really an astounding thing. And if you want to watch your students' faces come alive and just do some simple math, how much they're paying for that privilege of walking in instead of just going down in their bank. Now, there are some changes going to take place pretty soon, hopefully. They're looking at legislation coming in that will force banks to free up the first $100 of a paycheck. Because a lot of people go to payday loan places because they don't hold checks. But you really pay for this. And this is why people who are in payday loan rarely get out. Why should we teach financial literacy in schools? Because there are so many attempts to take students away from their money. Now, I don't know if any of you had seen the attempts or want to share some of these things that you've seen or heard. But if you ask students in the classroom, most have seen or heard of examples of fraud schemes or Ponzi schemes or phishing. And phishing is when we have usually an email come in saying this is your bank and click on this link and give us your PIN number and we just want to verify your account. And it happens over and over again, and there's not a month that goes by in Southwest London that we don't hear something of somebody that's trying to be scammed and parted with their money. People are simply unaware. So as I said, if we can stop here just for a second and just if there's any, stories or tales you want to tell, because telling the story is, yes, we'll send the slides to you if you would like. These are things that students are really unaware of, and the pump and dump, I had to actually that's probably one you're not aware of. The students won't see that too much. This is where you hear about a stock tip from somebody, and he's buying the stock really, the price is going to go through the roof, and then just before it crashes, they dump the stock on the market. So these are why we need to be doing it. And these are things that kids are actually really interested in. I like this one a lot. This is a research conducted by Ipso Reid on behalf of the Literacy Read. I'll get the actual page here. ABC Life Literacy Canada, and sponsored by the TD Bank Group. That the least discussed issue between parents and kids is money. And there's actually a very good clip on YouTube. If you go Cosby Show Theo Money, where Bill Cosby teaches Theo the value of budgeting. It's an excellent clip. I show it in just about every class. It's funny, it's timely, even though it was 80s. But, you know, contrary to Bill, most parents don't talk money. And I have in all my classes have them do a little financial plan about leaving, whether it's in grade 10 or 12, leaving school, how much is it going to cost, who are they going to access. And it really is quite interesting, the kickback often I get from parents, and usually not from the kids, on this lack of wanting to talk about money. For some of us growing up, and I know probably Siri, you'd probably echo this too, my parents never discussed money with us children, and certainly when my dad passed away, my mother did not even know how to write a check. We had to teach her how to do checks, we had to teach her how to do banking, and still I go with her to the bank because she would never go to the bank without, and meet a banker without me being present. She doesn't trust herself because she's never learned. And these are the issues that we need to talk with our children about. And it's funny, we want our best for the kids, but we don't want to educate them in terms of the money. And thank you for putting that link up, Louise. By the way, that's just an awesome clip. And every class I show it to our adults. Listen, if you need 5-6 minutes for your class, and I'm a believer in 5-6 minute clips, then this is a great thing. Okay, here's another reason we should teach it. You may be aware of this little document here. It's called A Sound Investment. Look at what it says. Ontario students will have the skills and knowledge to take responsibility for managing their personal financial well-being with confidence, competence, and a compassionate awareness. Confidence and competence. This is from the Ministry of Ed. We are supposed to be doing this for grades 4 through 12, embedded through all curriculum. In fact, there's a document that looks a lot like this called Scope and Sequence, and I won't bring it up, but if you want me to send you, we can send you the links to that later. That details every course in the building, direct or indirect, has to have it. And the ministry feels that this is so critical that in order to build this confidence and competence, that they're willing to tell us to embed it. Yet we're not doing it, even though we know for all those reasons I've talked about that we should be doing it. Now, part of the kickback I get when I do this with staffs, and even my own staff, by the way, is, you know what, I've got a course full of content that I may or may not cover anyways. You know, in our particular school, for example, we've had a couple activities on this week. We've had a number of very good things. And how am I going to get my course covered? But at the same time, we know it's the right thing to do. So where people get hung up on doing this in particular is, quite honestly, either I don't feel I have the time, it's an added burden, or I don't feel I have the skills. And really what we're going to look at today is the skills. And really for me, what I sort of talk and preach isn't so much content. It's about viewing the entire curriculum that you actually do right now, and regardless of the course. Now, you two are doing a personal management course where it's embedded right in, but through a financial lens. Okay, now I'm just going to mention this right now, that there are 3 packages that these folks have available to you. The big thing, and because I got a phone call this today, say, don't forget to tell them the most important part of all 3, that they're all free. Yes, you heard me right. They're free for you to use and use in your classroom. That is the mandate of this ministry. It is a ministry of the federal government set up in 2001. And the city was originally developed for youth, and as I said before, it's being retooled. We're going to look at the last 2. for young adults and adults. Now, I've got to tell you that the one for adults, the Financials Toolkit, I actually use with my senior students now for a lot of different reasons. I like it better. It's web-based, and when we go into it, you'll see why. The city is nice. It's self-contained, but it's been done. So if you're in a school that's doing it and you feel that overlap is bad, even though we know as parents that repetition is good because that's the way your kids actually learn, then you may want to be looking at one of these two other models. So we're going to look at financial basics to start with. This is by far one of my favorite workshops to do in terms of a class. I do this in all our senior classes. I come in for 4 days and that person jumps into mine. And the target of this originally was a one-day workshop for, we did it for students in both high school and college. What we found was that it was just as effective to do in the classroom. It takes about 4 class periods to do. It covers the topics that you see there on the screen, which is your main topics. It also talks a little bit about being a good consumer and things along that line. The only drawback to this is that it is and tends to be very teacher-driven. So if you like to guide the lesson, this is probably not going to be one of the ones you do a flipped classroom approach to. This is the one that you're going to take the bull by the horns and actually do. Now, this is what I sent you today, and I'm going to have you kind of flip through the PDF files in a few minutes just to see what it's about. When you go to this, when we go to the sites, and I'm going to have Louise put the link up in a few minutes, you can order the material. The green book is your presenter's book. The orange books are the participants' books. Now, I ordered 30 of these, well, one for every student in my class that I'm doing. Junior, I've done this in grade 10 classes, by the way, just to let you know, and it worked absolutely fine. When you send away for the stuff, they're going to send you the participants' book. They're going to send you the presentation slides. They're going to send you PDFs on participants' book and on the presenter's manual. That's what actually I sent you today, or Louise did that technically, actually. And if you really want to, you can make your own. I just prefer not to photocopy because my photocopy budget in my department seems to be getting cut every year. And they will present this, send these for you. It takes about a week, by the way, so if you're planning on doing it, give them a week's, and they'll ship it to your school free of charge. And the hard copy, listen, the hard copy is nice because it goes home. I usually have the parents make a comment with the child, like bring that reflection sheet back and give a nominal mark. But it's a good promotional piece for your particular department too, and with parents, let them know that this is kind of what we're doing. And you will get a CD contained in that. Now, I think this is where I want you to jump on, just to show you what it looks like. And then I want you to take about 5-10 minutes and open up those files, if you don't mind, and take a look at what you're going to do. Here you can see that this was originally developed for this, but originally developed for a one-day workshop. But it's just as easily broken down into, those are the 5 basic things. Each of them is about a little less than a period in size. The nice thing about this is it does guide them through, and this is, you're actually looking at the participants' book here, or at the PowerPoint. And then there is good just quizzes that start you off with the slideshow. And by the way, the answer is A, if you're wondering what it was. The average Canadian percent of income Canadian saves about 5%, which is not bad, but 15 years ago it was 10%, and recommendation is 10 or more. They predict within a short time that 5% will be a high number rather than a low number. So you're going to have these icebreaker activities. These are things that we know capture their interest. These are the minds-on activities, if you are familiar with that sort of setup for a lesson plan. And it works very well. And what works very well for this too is if you have whiteboards, you can do a lot of things. Whiteboards work very well in the classroom. You could set this up as a clicker type of work. You could use Poll Everywhere. If you haven't seen that particular piece of software, instead of using the slide and have them do it. This allows you to do a lot of interaction with your students, even though it is a slide. So a lot of good things there, and I just pulled the first couple slides. I'm going to stop at this point because I do want you to take just 5 minutes, and Louise, if you just don't mind putting on a timer for 5. And for you two, just to take a look at those links and just come back in about 5 and just kind of your thoughts and any comments that you might have had.
Jeff, I'm just going to jump on for a second because I have 2 or 3 links at the ready, and I wasn't sure which ones I haven't posted in the chat that you'd specifically like to make sure are there, or that you'd like Janice and Zita to start with.
They're all there. They're perfect, too. I was looking at them as we were talking. And I don't know if Janice and Zita have, in fact, seen Poll Everywhere. It's one of the things that we use a lot more than our clickers in class, just because it's free. Students can use their cell phones. You can use, instead of just doing an ABCD, you can actually text in answers in your class. It works very well if you have computers on the desk, because you can really, then that's all they see is that particular poll. So if we had access, we would have actually done this one first. If we're doing a formal presentation in front of you, we would use Poll Everywhere. And to see what, in fact, you did want to get out of the session, this is why I use Poll Everywhere. It's a wonderful tool. But we'll let you look for a second, and I'll go silent so that you can do this in peace. And then, Louise, we're actually going to, on your end, if you can take them to, or I can take them to the SCAC site, right?
Yep. We can just start a web tour and drop the link in there, but I have that link at the ready, so if you want me to do that, that's totally fine.
If I I'm going to take you to the actual website in just a moment, Janice. And the PDFs are just because it's an easier way to send the information to you. But if this is kind of the thing you're looking at, I would suggest that you just order the materials and have them sent to you. Just because it's just the 2 things we're going to look at today, it was easier to send PDF copies than to send actual physical copies. But they'll send you the materials pretty quick. They come usually within less than a week. And as I said, they come free. You're not paying for any postage costs. They're going to come free of charge to your school. The PDF is really just for you to look at and say, okay, is there enough in there for me? I see how they're laying it out in terms of the green copy, which is the presenter's copy. This is how it's going to do. And we're going to just go in a second to the SCA website just to take a look at both the ordering and some of the things they talk about in this particular book. And we're going to go from that in just a second. What I will be doing too in a few minutes is I'm going to direct you to the site. Then I'm going to actually disengage. Louise has put a link on to the FCA website, or you can just Google FCAC and you're going to get us there. Because it's important that after I disengage, you get to the site, because you're going to need to have that site for the second part of the presentation. Okay, let's go follow me, and we'll see if we follow me. It's coming in rather slow, but
I've got it at my end, Jeff. Janice and Zita, are you seeing the FCAC website now?
I am.
You can give it. Oh, good.
yeah, you're going to have to jump on, folks, because actually I'm the only one not seeing it. So unfortunately,
I can see it
another way. So where I'd like you to go is to, I'm going to have to, I'm not seeing anything here actually, so I'm going to have to jump off here. So I'm just about to shift away, folks. Just hang on for a second.
Okay.
You're just about to lose control. Relax.
Teacher,
you should see my website in a second. Yeah, it's not showing me anything. I'm having all sorts of difficulty here.
Jeff, when you chose to do the application sharing, are you choosing just to share your browser, or did you pick desktop?
I'm just going to share my browser to show them, and then I'm disconnecting.
Okay, although I'm still getting the black screen. Have you got the black screen?
Are you seeing anything
no,
right now?
No, it's just a solid black screen. Oh, here's something. Okay.
Just a solid?
Yeah, no, we see your Blackboard Collaborate chat, and now that's going to... Don't. I wonder if I drop the link in the chat.
Do you see the website?
On the, I wonder if I put the link in, Jeff, if I did the web tour, it might show up at your end.
Let's try that. Let me disconnect.
Okay. We'll flip back the whiteboard, back over to here.
Yeah, let's get back to the whiteboard tour. I apologize,
yeah,
folks.
no, it's
I'm running on a computer that is seeing better
no,
days.
it's not just your computer, Jeff. The web tour has been a little interesting for us for the last number of months with Blackboard. So I'm just going to get the root link here and drop that in. Here we go. All right, now Jeff, check and see if your follow me box is checked, assuming you get the website up. Okay, I've got it up. So Janice and Zita, give us a thumbs up or a smiley face or a green check mark if you see the website again. Okay, Janice and Syria.
Nope, I'm up now.
You've got it now. Okay, let's see what happens when you start clicking things if your follow me box is checked.
Okay, so along the side there's a list of options. Two things I want to show you really quickly. There are a lot of good just information that you can pick for your classes just for consumers. The other thing is life events. And I know you folks are doing personal life management, so there's actually a lot of things in the life events that are not necessarily covered in any of the curriculum. The other things we're going to take a look at are these tools and calculators. Are you seeing my mouse actually move, Louise?
No, unfortunately we don't get to see that part.
Okay. So today we're going to take a look at, first of all, the educational programs. And hopefully you just change screens. Yes or no?
Yes. Yep, I'm on the educational programs now.
Awesome. Okay, so the question was, where do you order? Well, you go to your educational programs and order financial basics. And just fill in the required information, blah, blah, blah. And then you determine how many copies you want. how many manuals do you want. Now, you actually have the PDF versions, but how many manuals do you want, and do you want any electronic material which you have, or just the workshop material. So this is where you would order the information for your students, and it works out very, very well. So we're going to disengage Follow Me for a second so that you can, I'm hoping that you're still on the right, they're on the screen. If either one of you two can just actually see if you can type into that screen. I know I can, but I'm just wondering if you can also. Yes, everything looks good.
That's good, Janice, thanks. And Zita, you should be able to as well. The web browser that's in your whiteboard space now is totally manipulatable by you now.
So this is where you would fill out. I'm just going to give you a minute or two. We won't put a clock up, but I'll just kind of talk here as we're going. The big thing about this is it does lay step by step exactly what you would do. I find for the first time going through, it's not a bad idea to go through what they suggest, and then I custom design like we do as good teachers to fit both our strengths and our students' strengths. The other thing it has is it links to a number of Funny Money videos featuring James Cunningham in a cartoon type version, and these are exceptionally good videos even on their own, and I'll put the website up in a few minutes for that. But they are all in the book, and in the book it links to where the website is that contain these Funny Money videos, and this is through the Investors Ed Fund. And we've had Chris Solomon, I know you've had Chris do a number of sessions for you also. And it's something, even if you just use the Funny Money videos for your class, it's worth the price of admission, so to speak, just for doing that alone. They're exceptionally well done. They're exceptionally funny. Unfortunately, we can't play them through other browsers, but if you just do Funny Money, even in YouTube, you'll find them. So I'll let you do that in a few minutes, and just let us know if you are still filling things out, because we won't take over control yet. If you are, I don't want to do that to you. And as I said, we do this in our senior classes quite a bit. I took a section out of my grade 12 accounting to do it, because although the students understand basic accounting, they didn't understand money. And a lot of students said, you know, one of the best things we did in class was one of the only things I didn't test on, which was, in fact, the financial literacy. And it helped them a lot. They came back and said, you know, we really understood how students, in fact, got into trouble in university. We saw them spend their money at Starbucks, at other places, not really thinking about how they were going to fund, and in fact they didn't have enough money to go into post-secondary, and then they were short and were borrowing to cover the shortfalls. This is part of what we want to do, giving students the understanding to make considered decisions. So just let me know, give us a thumbs up when you're finished, and we'll move back to the previous page. And by no means still feel obligated to sign up, by the way, I should say that too. I just want to take you. A lot of people have a hard time finding it, and if you're like me, you just simply, while you're thinking about it, let's do it and get it done. Otherwise, I won't remember in about an hour. Unlike Louise, who's just only 29. Nice emotion account, by the way. I didn't even know you had that one. So Janice and Zita, you're, oh, sorry, Zita, see you're writing in the box. Done, okay. Janice is done. Okay, so we'll move back then. I'm about to take control and move back. One of the things I wanted to show you next was some of the tools. A lot of these tools are mentioned in the particular program. In fact, one of the tools I had up there was the banking tool on the screen just prior to us going there. And these are really cool tools. Which checking account is right for you, which banking account is right for you. Taking a quiz. You might want to test yourself on this, your credit report. We talked about that a little bit earlier. These are all good things. But you know which one is my favorite tool, and I'm going to let you play with the tools in a second, is under our credit card tools. So typically, student gets a credit card, $1,000. They 18, turn 18 in Ontario, you get a card. Usual limit is $1,000, 19% being a student card. And being a typical student, they spend to the max. And they say, well, as long as I make minimum payment, Mr. Balt said my credit rating won't be affected, and they're right. And I'll just pay the minimum off. I say to them, how long are you going to think that's going to take you? And most of them will say, well, a year, maybe 2 years. Now, if you have a credit card, you know this is listed on your statement right now. But students are unaware of this. And when we click on the calculate button for that, making minimum payment would take 10 years to pay off. And I say that's a long time, and they say you're right. They say, you know what, if you miss 2 credit card payments, you don't pay for 2 months in a row, most credit cards have the right to raise your rate. Let's just raise that to 26%, which most of them will do. And all of a sudden, that 10 years now becomes 16. And you can see this is why people have a hard time getting out of debt. And this is assuming that all you're doing is never adding to that card. So there's a lot of great tools here. Now let's back right out so you're on the right page. And these tools are all mentioned in Financial Basics. And I want you to just take a few minutes and just play around with the various tools. You may want to try the banking tool to test your knowledge on how much do you know about credit scores. So just take a few minutes and try some of the tools. You're now free to do that. And I don't think Steve back yet, but Janice, if you just want to try it, and even Louise, just to see what you think of some of these various tools and where you would probably use them. Oh, okay. Janice, you asked me a question here as you're doing this. Each time your credit score goes down, that's actually false. That's a myth. A soft inquiry, which is what you're doing, does not affect it at all. It's only hard inquiries. Hard inquiries are when you go in, I don't know if you guys, any of you have ever seen this. You walk into a store, they say, would you like to sign up for a card? And if you sign up today, we'll take 10% off your order. Every time you do that, that does have an impact on your score. So when a lender is going to a credit agency to check your score, that affects your score. Not you after your own score. Those are soft checks. Yeah, it really is that every time you do that, because what happens is the potential for credit is really what they get you on, not necessarily credit itself. So that's something that people don't quite get, is that they would actually even like it in Canada, that if you would actually use your credit cards. But I had somebody come up to me and say, you know what, I get those cards, I have some of them in my wallet, but I never use them. And I said, that's actually going to affect your credit score. And they go, well, how so? I've never used them. I said, but they look in Canada, we look at the potential for credit, not the actual use of credit. So we do look at things a little different in this country than even the Americans do. And it's the potential for credit that they look at. And really what they look at for your credit cards is, by the way, is how long the link didn't work. Is that what you're asking me? Sorry, Janice.
Go ahead and jump on the mic, Janice.
Yeah, jump on the mic, because I'm just trying to get on here to back from my. Is the link broken?
Hi, I can't find the link for checking credit scores. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be going.
Okay, I will. I think I can just put the link back on here. Just a second. No, that's the old link.
I see credit card tools, mortgage tools.
Oh no, sorry. That link was a little earlier. I talked about.
Oh, okay.
In terms of credit score. The what I was
Janice,
talking
I've
about was
just
credit.
reposted it there.
Oh,
Just in case
okay.
Janice, I reposted because it's off the FCAC website.
Yes.
Okay. And I
And in fact,
definitely missed that one.
Yeah, these folks were instrumental in by the way, having it your credits, like how long it takes to pay off your MasterCard and Visa. If you recall, a few years ago, it was never shown on your statement. Now you see on your statements, if you pay minimum payment, how long to pay it off. And the reason for that was you can't make informed decisions unless you know some of this information. And so these folks were very instrumental in this. I was talking about going under your banking tool, and then there's try our credit reports and credit score quiz. So there's just a quiz related to that. And this is what I actually encourage parents to jump on because most of them are unaware of that particular thing. So there's a lot of good tools here. Again, these are engaging tools that you can do yourself with your class. And I've done it where I have no lab other than my computer at the front. And I'll get up there and say, okay, folks, we're going to borrow to buy the latest whatever. And we're just going to make the minimum payment. How long do you think it's going to take us to pay it off? And, you'll get guesses. And so there's a lot of these things you can do together. The quizzes, you can have them do it together also, just with one computer, simply by having them use little whiteboards, sheets of paper, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to do, just to engage them into the particular material. So you don't have to have a room of computers to do a lot of this stuff. Or you can send them simply home to the websites if you have your own web pages or you have Desire to Learn pages that link right to there, and have them do it and then come back and just talk about what they thought of the tools. Did they have the right bank account? Both my girls used the banking tools to select both the credit cards they selected and the right bank accounts as they turned adults. Because, we got them accounts based on our bank, and for one daughter, it didn't meet her needs, and she said, I don't know where to look. And I said, go here and look, and she did. And she did her research, and she made an informed decision. Now, she's still got a lot to learn, but she's learning that decisions do have consequence, and the more she does the research, the better off she's going to be. So if we just follow back to the web tool right now, you see, for example, this is a page from the website, and you can see there's the banking tools that we just talked about.
I just see that Janice put a really interesting question in the chat there.
Oh, sorry. I've got a reduced chat window here, and I'm going to come back. Thank you, Louise. Oh, yes, absolutely. If I could jump off, and I will show you. Yes, it's not a problem. In fact, when we get into the financial toolkit, Janice, since you asked that, you can actually download all the videos, and of course you can embed links right in Desire to Learn. If you want to know how to do that later, specifically, I'll let you know, because I do Desire to Learn for our board. But I use it all the time, the Desire to Learn. Great things. And the nice thing too is, as I said, when we get to the financial toolkit, you may not use the toolkit per se, but you can download all the videos. If you have problems with the videos, let me know, and I'll send you a link, because I have the videos all on a Dropbox, so it's not an issue. Now, the financial toolkit is really for anybody. It's much more extensive than either the city or the financial basics. And it was primarily developed for adults, but I got to tell you, I've done this with newcomers to Canada. So if they can understand it, and their English is limited, certainly our students can understand it just as well. If you're teaching alternative schools, this website is just absolutely key and great, because it contains everything that the other two are lacking. It contains a website presence, it contains videos, the city doesn't have videos, Financial Basics doesn't have the website. It has case studies. It has quizzes. It actually has very effective teaching materials and a trainer's toolkit. And I'll take you to the website so we can do that in a few minutes. It does also give you suggestions. Now, this was designed with a group of us who are with ministry people and teachers to get a combination of both. And so you will see embedded right in this one, even in the strategies, that minds-on philosophy, that action philosophy, and that consolidation philosophy, which the rest you would simply put in yourself. A couple of things too is, you know, it'll key you right in Financial Toolkit. Don't overextend. We know that even for our young people that oftentimes these things are just a little too long. Videos, 2 to 3 minutes in length. They're just intended to introduce, that's that minds on, get thinking about it, and then we go into the material. The material itself is a combination of interactive worksheets and presentation, case studies, and so it does suit all learner styles. And as I said, for a lot of these reasons, I like it better than actually either one of the other two. The only drawback to this one is it's long. So depending on what you have. Now, to be honest, in a classroom, I would mix and match. I use the Financial Basics because it's self-contained, it's smaller, but I use a lot of the material from the toolkit. Notice what it covers. It covers essentially more things. Now, as I said, it's meant for adults, but it's interesting too. I did a session with our young teachers on pensions. You know, we have a wonderful pension plan, and but just the different types of pension plans that are currently out there, retirement planning. You don't really think of that when you start working, but sitting down young people at 25 and saying, you need to start planning for your retirement. And as I'm getting closer to the end, I'm glad somebody sat down with me and did that financial planning and retirement planning. It has mortgages. It has, you know, for insurance, income taxes. One of those things that we should be doing with all our students is teaching them basic income tax, how to do basic income taxes. So there's a lot you can take out of this. Like the rest, though, and I should have already said for Financial Basics, you don't have to do it all. If you just do budgeting and banking and saving credit, and that's all you did, that would be fantastic. And that's all you need to do. It's just there if you really want to do it. This is what module looks like. In fact, I've included, this is the PowerPoint that you can download. This is the banking one. And yeah, the whole purpose is to be less scary. And as you go through this, Janice, what you're going to find is, you know what, I know this stuff. I just didn't know where to get started. And, you know, for me, a lot of this leading to this thing was, in fact, going on the same journey as you guys did, just I did it a while back. It's like, how do I teach this? Where do I get going? And it always seems scary until you know how to do it. I mean, this is like life or anything. I mean, I'm not really great with my hands, but my dad was, and Dad showed me how to do it, and I thought, why? Now I know how to do it. Once you know to do something, it's not as scary as before. And as I go through this, you'll see some of the same slides and images that I've shown you earlier. And I'm just showing you kind of what you have with the PowerPoint. Now, I'm going to take you to the website. Louise, I think it's probably best if you do that because that seems to work fine. So we're going to go to the toolkit, or it doesn't matter which one you go to. There we go. Now, the toolkit as it's coming up, this is a new material. It was just released last November, which is Literacy Month. There we go. And I'm just going to click Follow Me. I'm just going to watch you here. And you can see all the modules on the side. There are a number of self-assessment tools. We're going to click on banking just to match the one we did earlier. And if you get a large enough group, they can accommodate creating little booklets, but right now that's still in the future. But here you have the basic things that we've done that match that PowerPoint. So you can either create your own. There's a downloadable part, which I'll show you in a second. Number of definitions. I just want to get to here's the videos. And there are a number of videos here. Now I'm not going to play because I don't think Louise, they can hear it, correct?
That's correct. Although, oh, wait a minute, sorry. No, that's not the case. When it's embedded in the website, as long as Janice, Syria, Zita, each of you click play yourself, you will have the audio. It's only in application sharing that we wouldn't get the audio.
Okay, so if I click on, they'll hear it?
Each person has to click it themselves.
Okay. So if you just click this on right now, just to give a flavor for this, you also see right underneath it where it says download this video. So you can download this video, embed it into your D2L site, and away you go. There's also transcript at the bottom. You'll see that each of these things is not very long in themselves. So I'll let you watch one to get the flavor. They're a little different. They're not a cartoon, but they're also a really good minds-on activity to start off a particular lesson. So this one's just on banking tips. Oops, sorry. Shouldn't have done that, should I? Here we go.
You'll just have to go find the video and click start again, folks.
So if each of you just wants to click that on, just to give a sample of what this looks like. And all these videos embedded can be downloaded free and used within your classroom, or just run from the website here as a great tool. And everybody just give me a thumbs up after you've done watching it so that we know we can continue. Louise's got there, and the rest of you. Oh, I got a chat here. Sorry, I'm just going to move it out so I can see it. They do include subtitles, and the transcript is listed below. I'm just going to move you down to the bottom now, which is the next part I want to show you, which is the Trainer's Toolkit. And the Trainer's Toolkit gives you an idea of how to do this. Here is what you're looking at is the training materials. And both the PDF guide and the PowerPoint presentation are right there. Just to show you what the PDF guide looks like, I think this will load in the window. How are we doing, folks? Is it loading?
It looks like it's loading. We will see, because it is a web link, so it should load. This will be our test.
Yeah, so I just sprung this on Louise just right now. I just forgot to tell her about this part.
It's nice to have a bit of unpredictability each time. Oh, it opened.
Yeah, well,
Yay.
you know me. I never do the same things twice.
Well, it has opened on my screen, so I'm happy about that.
Now I'm slow on my screen, so I'm just going to assume it's opening up. And there are about 17 pages here. Yep, there it goes. So this is your notes that would go along with it. And even again, if you just decide, I'm not sure I want to do a lot of this stuff, but it's worthwhile having kind of the things that they're talking about here. I like the fact that it's got learning objectives or learning goals. By the end of this, what do I want to know that they've got, and how do I know they've got it? For example, most of you, I don't know if you're aware of the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is how fast money doubles. So if you divide 72 by your rate, it gives you the time. Divide 72 by time, gives you the rate you need for your money to double. So if you got your interest in a bank account at 1%, it would take 72 years to double. Great things to teach your kids. Really simple to understand compounding. It also gives you a suggested time frame that goes with the slide. So again, you may skip over slides, but this is kind of how fast things work, and it tends to work very well. Although you probably don't need to have a lot of these things, there are icebreakers to get that mind's on going if there's not a video available. And these are common questions. How many of you have a savings account, a checking account, a debit card? Probably don't have a bank loan. How many of you know how much it costs each month? What it costs when you leave to high school? Does it cost if you're a university student? Is it free? Do I have to deal with that? These are kind of discussions that do get you started on this notion of banking. How did you get your bank account? Did mom and dad decide for you? Is this the right account for you? Maybe you work late at night, you want access to your funds. So another bank that's open later may be more beneficial to you. And this is a very good job of doing this, and a very good job of tying what's on the slide with the activities. And I apologize for going quick. I'm trying to get to the spot I want to be. That ask the participants to do this. Now, all these worksheets they talk about are online. They can do them online if you have computers, or you can download them if you don't. And right now, there's no booklet set up, much like there is for financial basics. So you would have to photocopy these for your students. But again, you may decide that you only want to do bits and pieces of things. So this is the financial toolkit. And again, the information is all right there. And in the time we've got left, you can see why all I can do is plant the seed today to think about this stuff. I do want to say, though, that they have been sending me out for house calls to schools, that if a staff wants to do a learning forward, I'll come out and do this in detail and do a lot of the other things that I normally would do in a classroom besides this material. If you've ever done the activity, again, the class like this or that, would you rather have watch the sunset or sunrise? You can just as easily do that with financial literacy. So for example, this came from my daughter. Would you rather this fall buy a new Coach purse or buy a fall wardrobe at Winners? You don't have to answer, actually. And she actually did this with her at one of her showers. It was an interesting thing. One of the questions I asked, would you rather buy everything you want but have to work for 50 years, or half of everything you want and only work for 35? And aren't those good questions to ask? And again, looking at things through the financial lens. Yes, the rule of 72 is in the banking module. And the rule of 72 is just simply teaching a simple way to teach compounding. So compounding is where how fast money grows, essentially. So we get interest on interest. And what I teach the students is, okay, so if you have a bank account right now, and that's earning you 2%, and you put $1,000 in, how fast would it make $2,000? Well, without going through the math, you teach them the rule of 72. So rule of 72 would say, at 2%, I divide 72 by 2, gives me 36 years it would take to double. Well, what if you got 8% or 12%? How fast then? So you can see that would double in six years. So it's just a quick way to figure out how fast my money's going to grow. You know, if I can get 3% or 4%, it's going to grow a lot faster. So that's the purpose of Rule of 72 is really how fast money compounds. And this is why, and it works the same way with debt. This is why when people paying high debts really can't get out of it because the money is doubling so quickly. You know, at 60% interest rate, that money you owe if you didn't pay it is doubled within about a little more than a year. Well, that's why people don't get out of debt. A lot of good things here. Again, you really need to take the nuggets away and explore and take a look for yourself to see what I can use, what I can't use. I would suggest starting with financial basics. It's simple, it's doable, and they'll send you the books. I would use the videos that are applicable, and there are a lot here. There are 16 videos in all. Oops, that's not the one I want. Sorry. There it is. Budgeting to reach your goals. I showed this one in the class because we had talked about SMART goals. This one's all about setting SMART goals. Well, we teach SMART goals in a lot of our classes. Why not view it through a financial lens? Students got the point. And this was in the session we were doing about anything to do with finances. We had talked about setting goals and SMART goals and, you know, setting our road down our life, and we just read Dr. Seuss, All the Places You Go. By the way, too, I've done a lot of reading of books, and this works really well with your classes. The book that I liked the best was The Berenstain Bears Get the Gimmies. They liked it far better than some of the other books I read. Those are things you can do. The tools are there. The time we actually do have. You don't have to spend great lessons, although both of you have the opportunity to do great lessons. And there's material here just tonight that I've shown you that you could spend a whole course on if you really want to. Pick and choose what suits you best. Now at this point I'm actually going to stop because we're about 15 minutes in, just for us to chat to see if there are any questions. And I need just to move the chat window so I can actually see it. And pick and choose is the best way to do it. Special ed, if you're special ed, I would really seriously go with the books, because the books themselves allow you to, as a group, kind of work through together. And if you look through the PDF file, the ones, yeah, there's space for them to write, there's space for you to talk, and it's much, even though it's probably going to work probably better for you with special ed kids where the focus is on you rather than them doing a lot more self-discovery. So you initiate a lot of it with financial basics. Although I do like the videos. The videos are a good way to quiet a class down. Yes, exactly. My email is there, both and then on the website. And please email me. I'm more than happy to, if you're looking for an activity to do that you don't know is going to work. Janice, is you're the group that's special ed? Yes, just jump on your mic actually right now.
There we go. Is it working?
One of the activities you can do that works really well, have you ever done group juggle with your students?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so group juggle is putting everybody in a circle, getting the really
Okay.
soft koosh balls, and you know, A throws it to B, and you have to remember who you're throwing to and call the person's name. And so what I did with this one was, how can I view this through a financial lens? And what I did was I came out with a number of different sized balls, and then asked my classes at the end, if the balls are like bills, what did you learn? And they said the big ones hurt when you got them in the face. Yeah, that's true. And the little ones I dropped all the time. So those are little things you can do yourself. You know, little activities you can do, again, viewing through this financial lens. Zita, we're all worried about personal finances. Is there any particular question, though, you want, just even for yourself, that perhaps I can answer? I'm not going to sell myself as a financial planner. Those days are long gone. They may come back again when I retire, but I am not a financial planner anymore. But I still am pretty versed in the field. The thing about personal finances is I still take courses, by the way, on this myself. And it's simply the more you know, the more you go around. My wife and I actually, if you've ever seen any Gail Vax-Oxlade shows, Princess or Till Death Do Us Part, those are great shows to watch just for yourself and for your own personal information and for managing your money. Just wonderful opportunities. It gives you lots of good suggestions. Financial Toolkit is, if you're looking for your own information, is probably will be well suited for you. It has a lot of things on how to do different methods of budgeting, an envelope method, a jars method, just different techniques you can use. A lot of good things self-contained in one that you can use. Yeah, she has a new one out called Money Morons too. Princess is great. I show that to the students all the time. Probably not supposed to, but since I still haven't got permission from her. But really, when they look at this, because it gives this idea of, you know, I'm entitled to this stuff. This is what we talked about, the entitlement. And I look at them and ask, are you up there? You know, are you the one expecting the mani and the petty all the time and your hair done and spending and expecting mom and dad to cover? And these are great shows to reinforce those points that we're talking about. Again, you don't have to show the whole episode. You may only show just a few minutes. And then I often find that the best way to do is only show a little bit and say, we'll watch the rest later, rather than watching it all in one sitting. It works out very well in my particular classes when I do that. It gives us something to look forward to. And we all like that anticipation of seeing how it's going. Teasers are, in fact, wonderful ideas, and you're absolutely right. So at this point, I'll turn it to you if you have any questions about what you've seen. A lot of stuff covered today. A lot of linkages. Take a look at the one-page handout. I give this in all my sessions now. They contain a summary of the 3 applications, links to them. Yes, they do. Yes, they are Canadian shows, and so nothing is done. And she's actually a great lady to see if you get a chance to hear her speak. All the language is fine. Anything else we have today? Because I think we're at the end today, just because of our numbers. The one-page handout, Louise did that, which should have come up when they logged in, correct?
Yes, Janice, you might have seen a funny box pop up when you first logged in, and not being prepared for it, you might not have been sure what to do, but that's okay. I did miss one of Jeff's handouts earlier today, and I will email that. I'll probably attach all 3 of the documents again, Jeff, when I send out the follow-up email, which will have the link to the resource page, which I've actually been building as we've been going through the session. So if I'm lucky, I might even have that out tonight.
Yeah, and as Louise said, it's just a sort of a synopsis. It's something you can do. I put together a website. She does Indeed Rock. She makes this really simple for me. Let me tell you, folks, if you ever run this session without having somebody do the back end, it is horrific. And Louise does it the best I've ever seen. It makes it so seamless and easy for me to be just sitting here and chatting with you. And that's not, no, it's not all shucks. It's absolutely true. Serial, you echo in here too. It makes life a lot easier for us. She is amazing, truly. But I have a site called Just Teaching Financial Literacy, and it goes through these 3 applications and what you can do and what you do, plus some of my own material. It's just a site to go to and refer to all the time. And then, as I said, if a lot of schools are doing learning forwards now, and I do that for particular schools across our great province right now. The site, just give me a second, I will set it up, because even I don't know what it is off the top of my head. And unfortunately, I'm on a netbook, not my laptop, and my netbook is incredibly slow. There we go. So I do apologize, I've actually gotten off screen now to get this for you. There is a QR code on that handout. The QR code is just if you have the facilities on your iPad or iPhone or any phone that will take a QR code, will take you right to the website. Either way, it's not letting me get there quickly.
I beat you, Jeff. I got it.
You probably beat me. It's like watching paint dry trying to get my screens here to come up.
Yeah, I didn't have your file open, but it's
Oh
there.
my goodness,
I've got it
it's
posted
painful.
now.
Okay. So that's going to shift over in a couple months to an actual just teaching financial literacy, but the link will shift it over automatically for you. And you get an idea of this ugly mug of what I look like too. So, you know, let buyer beware if you do have me come out. But the nice thing about it is, if it is a learning forward, Financial Consumer Institute Canada in Thames Valley will release me to come to your school free of charge to do this for you. But they do ask to just be a staff, just because they are buying me out. Yeah, they really do. It's a great organization, and if I have enough heads notice, I contact them and contact my superintendent, and they're quite happy in both instances to get this message across. This is a concern both to our school board and to this agency. So you've seen 2 of the 3 things. The third one being the city. I didn't go into it this time because this one really was a session really aimed towards adults, whereas the city is not. But a lot of you are aware of that anyways. I think it's something worthwhile. As I said, in the fall we'll probably look at what's going to change in the city, just to give you guys a heads up of what's coming. And we're hoping to have, because we've been pushing this for a long time, a test bank for the city. That's the one piece that, to my mind, that's been missing, is that, you know, it's nice to have that test bank where I don't have to create or invent the questions. Test bank for, it would be a series of multiple choice questions, true, false, short answer, that are done for you, and you can just pick and choose the questions that you want to do. Yes, and that's the one I've been trying to do right now. Okay, you're going to switch to the website for the last couple of minutes here? Or the sty?
There you go.
That could be a sty if we don't get there in time.
Janice Zita, do you see Jeff's handsome mug up there now? And if you slide down, you'll see a few of those other things, and he's got the tabs on the menu up there at the top.
Yeah, I mean, this is the mug of a guy about to retire. We come full circle. I'm back to a classroom in my department, and we sat around today and we looked at each other and said, in 3 years, all of us are going to be gone, which is kind of sad in a lot of ways. But this is a message that I'm very, very passionate about and concerned about getting out, and this is why we're trying to do it very quickly. So there's the three, as you said. Simple presentation. Actually, I'm going to put the current presentation you just saw up on that website tonight so that you can see it there. And there's a lot of stuff you can pick on that, and I keep editing this and adding to it just for your sakes and my sake, because it keeps me going and keeps me interested and keeps me focused on this, that this is something we need to be doing. Please direct as many people as you want. Please, if there's stuff up there, by the way, that is my stuff, you're more than welcome to download it, distribute it, and use it. My name does not appear on it anywhere, and I want it to be used. As I said, it would mean more of the world to me that it's used than it actually has my name on it. I'm more concerned that it gets used in the classrooms. So we got about 3 minutes left, unless there are any other questions. Because as Louise says, we do like to always honor our time commitments, and the hour and a half has gone by very quickly. You've both been just awesome to deal with. No, I'm not going to retire yet. I'm getting close. Syria and Louise know why. I have 2 daughters, one getting married this August, one getting married next July. You can email me with any question you want. I will respond. I actually respond better to email than anything else. Including you saying, I don't understand this, or do you have something that would work with these kids? Do you have an assignment? If I can't figure out, there are 12 others who are doing this throughout the country. This is actually coast to coast now for teachers doing this. I just happen to represent Ontario. And we are right across the country. They're great people, and if I can't answer the questions, most of them can. And so if you want, for example, questions that are in perfect French, I have a buddy in New Brunswick that's totally bilingual, and he does a lot of that for me. I want to thank you both for your time, and I'm going to turn this back to Louise, and she's going to do a few housekeeping things with you right now.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm going to flip back to our whiteboard space here, and I think you've already gone through that. Oh, did you want to touch on any of this, Jeff?
I did earlier. This is just the things we looked at earlier, the life events and the calculators. We talked a little bit about that. Really, these slides are there to remind you that you could just jump on and grab just bits and pieces just from the website alone as you need for your particular curriculum. So I think we're to your slide now.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And thank you, of course, for another wonderful presentation. I think this is really actually a great session to delve into the financial basics and the toolkit, so much more. So I'm going to give Syria a chance to come on, but first I'm just going to direct you to the URL that's right in the middle of the page. There is our feedback link. I'm also going to put it in the chat. And so before you go to bed tonight, it would be great if you could click on that and fill it out. It only takes a minute or two. And of course, we do have a few more sessions before the year closes out. You can find those on the bottom link. Although I must admit, you'll see a link in the email that you'll get, the follow-up email, that lists a session next Tuesday, which is creating a community of thinkers, which is a critical thinking presentation with Cynthia Nicholson. And although it is on our website, for some reason it does not show up on our calendar. When you go to the OTF Connects calendar, I cannot figure out why, but it's not on the calendar. But the follow-up email does have it linked at the bottom, and it is on the sessions listing page on our OTF Connect site. So just in case you want to sign up for that one, it is actually on and there. Syria, I will give it over to you now to close us out tonight.
Thank you, Louise. And Jeff, thank you so very much for, again, a very informative presentation and sharing so many useful ideas and resources to help students make informed financial decisions. And thank you, Janice and Zita, for participating in tonight's session. And as Louise mentioned, please give us your feedback. It's really important. We use it to improve our program. And even though our spring program is coming to an end, we do have 3 more workshops coming up. So do share the OTF website or the OTF Connects website with your colleagues. Tomorrow, this spring for the first time, we've offered workshops on media violence or violence prevention, and tomorrow night it's going to be a very powerful workshop, I think, on domestic violence, risk assessment and management. And then on May 30th, we have using technology to document students thinking during problem solving in math. And again, as Louise mentioned, June 4th, it will be our last presentation for this year. So if these don't interest you, tune in again in September, where hopefully we'll start the program again. So thank you again, Jeff, for a wonderful presentation, and both of you for joining us. So for now, good night. And of course, thank you, Louise, for always keeping things going so smoothly.
And I think, Siri, you would also say that even if it doesn't apply to them, perhaps they have colleagues in their building that, particularly the math one, that might really benefit from doing this. And as you two found out, it's not really painful to be on these. It is a chance for us to dialogue as a community, and it is a wonderful opportunity. So I want to extend my thank you to OTF for that.
Thank you so much, Jeff. You're awesome.
Old is a better word, not awful. Anyways, for the two of you, we bid you good night unless you have any questions. We are at 9:03, so we don't want to keep you any longer than we have to.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.